Hey folks, this is the XREAL Beam Pro, and while it might look like a phone in appearance, it's not a phone. It is a spatial computing terminal, or AR computing terminal. And what makes it special is not just these cool cameras on the back of it, but also the fact that you have an input right here to plug in your AR glasses on one side, and you can actually charge on the other. On the side here, you've got an orange button that changes the modes within Nebula OS, the magical software package that lets you do cool things with your XREAL AR glasses. Then you've got their standard volume controls and the power or lock button. And then on the other side, it's actually got a SIM ejector here. This particular model does not support 5G, but there is a 5G model coming in the future. But it does support micro SD expansion, which is very, very cool. Let's talk a little bit more about the internals and why you might want this particular device in your life. So we're going to go through a bit of the home screens and the pieces that make it look like a phone on this device. We've got My Glasses, which launches your AR applications. At the time that I'm recording this, this is pre-release for this device, and it's on version 1.1.0844. I've got notifications turned on. You can actually switch to defaulting air casting, which is important for some applications, or if you have a device that is not the XREAL Air, Air 2, Air 2 Pro, or Air 2 Ultra that you want to try to run from the AR glasses USB-C port, because it does do DisplayPort out to really any device in air casting mode. Nebula OS is exclusive to the devices that I just listed off, at least for the time being. You can restore the glasses software, have a sleep timer, then the privacy policy, terms of service, things that you're used to seeing. I like that the storage is actually on here. Again, you can expand the storage by using a micro SD, which is super helpful. This device is 100% Google Media Services supported. So I can just click on the Play Store here, and if I wanted to, I could install Star Wars Hunters right here, or really any other application on the Play Store. I can also sideload applications from other storefronts, and it works really well. And those applications, at least for the most part, will all also launch out of Nebula OS. I have found some compatibility issues with actually some old XREAL applications that were published against an old NREAL SDK that will not launch in Nebula OS. But anything that's published on the more recent SDKs will work fine, and any Android application in a 2D format works just fine in Nebula OS. And again, I'll show some clips of that working a little bit later in the video. Next thing I want to show off is CPU-Z, because a lot of people ask, what is inside this particular device? Well, this has an SM6450 Snapdragon 6 Gen 1 processor built in. It's got 8 cores, it's got a Cortex A78 and a Cortex A55. If we click on device here, you can see this is a X4000 by the manufacturer XREAL. This is not a device that they partnered with a specific telecom or a specific company to build. Their partner is Qualcomm. This is the Parrot, is the code name for the device, and the screen resolution is 1080 by 2400 with a screen density of 405 dpi. Total RAM is 6 gigabytes or 5462 megabytes in this particular scenario. The device is running Android 14, and it is stock Android 14, but again, it's got system applications built specifically by XREAL to support their AR functions. So that's going to come into play when you're using glasses plugged into the device more so than when you're using the device on its own. It does function just fine as an Android device. It's got a microphone, it's got a speaker, so you technically could use it for telephony functions. We're on API level 34. There's all the build information, Google Play Services information, at least at the time that I'm recording this. Battery health right now, I've been using it for quite a while today. We're at 70%. It is discharging. It is a 4300 milliamp hour battery, so it's got a pretty good battery life. It also has 27-watt fast charging, which is stellar for this type of a device. And again, you can actually plug in and use it as a spatial computing terminal at the same time, which is pretty awesome. Thermals here, everything works fine. I will say I have not had a single overheating problem. I know the old XREAL Beam is notorious for overheating because it's just got kind of like one little vent at the top and a very noisy fan. This thing's not noisy and it works really well. Very good cooling, very good temperature control. It's been a heat wave where I live recently and it still works fine. It doesn't even get warm to the touch. The glasses actually get a little bit warmer to the touch than the device here. It's got a bunch of sensors. I don't know what any of these mean. The camera app here is currently facing the computer that's recording, and now it's currently facing me. So we've got a front-facing selfie camera. We also have a standard camera, and if we turn it to spatial photo, it says to rotate the Beam Pro to landscape. When you do so, it turns into a spatial photo camera. It's taking now a 3D photo. So now let's jump into some software on this thing. The Nebula OS is pretty cool, and I'm going to highlight first the first run experience for you. So one of the things that you see at the end there is a tease a bit of something that you can only do right now with the XREAL Air 2 Ultra, which is gesture controls. So you can actually do hand gestures, and I don't have the ability to access that tutorial, so I can't show you how that works, but I'm excited for it. The other thing that it mentioned was you can use other peripherals. So if I wanted to use an Xbox controller, which I have definitely done a lot of, or if I wanted to use a Bluetooth keyboard and mouse, you can use any of those peripherals within Nebula OS, or of course attached to the spatial computing terminal Beam Pro itself. What I'm going to show you next is a little bit of gameplay footage. I could not, unfortunately, capture footage from Xbox Cloud Gaming, but it works really, really well in Nebula OS. I've played a ton in Xbox Cloud Gaming on this thing already. Steam Link also works. GeForce Experience, GeForce Now works. Moonlight works. Xbox Cloud Gaming seems to be a focus for this particular product because it's actually available in this little storefront alongside Google Play called the XREAL Store, which is where you get application updates for the My Glasses application, which runs Nebula OS, and also a couple of the AR experience applications that are available in this particular device. So Xbox Cloud Gaming is the only 2D application, at least it's available right now. And I can see that it really works well. So I'm excited to continue to jump in and play. You do need an Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription to use Xbox Cloud Gaming, but it works great. And if it's something that you already subscribe to, the Beam Pro definitely adds value to that subscription because you can play on the go using these glasses, using the Beam Pro. So I'm going to show off a few quick clips of games, Call of Duty Mobile, Dead Cells, and a sort of hacked version of Balatro. There was an application that was available that allowed you to convert the PC version of Balatro to an APK to use an Android. So I've got that running on here as well, which is really cool. Some folks asked about multitasking as well. At the current time, the Beam Pro in Nebula OS supports using 2 applications at once. So I'm going to show you a couple of brief ways that that works. In one section here, I'm going to show you the animated series version of Black Panther alongside looking at some reference material, the comic book opening in Kindle of Black Panther.
Stay focused. I hear the Wakandans are fierce.
Fierce? Isn't that what you said about the last tribe?
So again, kind of keeping that theme going, I am a big fan of Mark Danielewski and his series The Familiar. Here's a little clip of researching a term paper about The Familiar. It's just a little doctored up Microsoft Word document on one side and the first volume of The Familiar opening Kindle on the other. And finally, for productivity, sometimes you do video conferencing. And I've actually carried around the original XREAL Beam and done some conference calls, but you can't do video with those conference calls. Here I am in Zoom, zooming on myself. The camera on the front of the Beam Pro is now on my face, which is pretty cool. My wife grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area and used to visit Hillsdale Shopping Center on a regular basis. And they had these really cool statues throughout the shopping center. And we decided to take the Beam Pro with its 3D camera, spatial capture device, if you will, and take some 3D shots of those statues and some of the other random things that we found throughout the mall. So I kind of did a 3D photo walk, which was very cool. And in this kind of compact device, it worked really well. So I'm going to show off, at least in the photo gallery within Nebula OS, you're not going to be able to see the 3D depth, what it looks like to my eyes. It's a really well presented format. It's just kind of flipping through those photos and a couple of quick video clips. And then what I'm also going to do is share in the description of the video a link to a folder where you can actually download and view those photos and videos that I show off. So you can actually, if you have a pair of XREAL glasses, or if you have a Quest 3 or a other VR device, you can actually look at those photos and videos and see the quality. I was actually pretty impressed with the quality. Used it as a point and shoot. Didn't really do anything special when I was taking these photos, but it looks really cool, and it's very cool to preserve 3D images of those statues so that my wife can relive her childhood a bit, and you never know when that shopping center might disappear. Within Nebula OS, you can actually change the screen size either by clicking a button to change it from medium to large or back. You can change it from a vertical viewpoint to a horizontal viewpoint, and you can do a stepless resizing. So what I'm going to show you here is just a clip of resizing a clip from YouTube, just a trailer reel for the Beam Pro. So you can see the different view sizes of that window. Again, it's simulated because it's being captured as a video from within the viewpoint, so you can't really see how large it really gets in front of my eyes, but it gives you a general idea of the options available. Some folks asked about Plex and using Plex on the Beam Pro, and it works great, but I can't record footage from it. It shows up just as a black screen when I'm recording. So I'm going to show you a clip from a different application called CloudStream, which is very similar to Plex, that allowed me to record footage. So you can see just a little clip of a television series that I've been watching.
つけてみるか。
まだそんな金は。
レベッカがお前にならタダでやるってよ。
いや、やめとく。
ん？
死人のインプラントだからって気にする玉じゃねえだろ。それとも知ってるやつのはきついか。
それ鉄器用だろ。
なんでそここだわんのか。
欲しいのは決めてある。
何に決めてんだ。
I do want to mention there are some applications that do not allow you to view the screen and get the audio from within the Nebula OS system currently. YouTube TV is one of those applications, unfortunately. Peacock TV is another. The Xfinity Stream app basically forbids the use of a screen sharing device or an external display device. So there are some applications that the workaround, for me at least, has been to turn on aircasting mode instead of launching into Nebula OS. You don't have the smooth follow or body anchor features in the aircasting mode, but it does give you a full screen resolution where you can still view that content and enjoy that content and hear that content at the same time. Unfortunately, though, those applications, at least for right now, are not supported within Nebula OS. That's not saying that a future update to Nebula OS can't support them, though. I do also want to preface this whole video has been recorded while I'm beta testing the Beam Pro. The Beam Pro that I have is a pre-production model, and it's running pre-production software. So there are some features that are guaranteed to be working at the time that the Beam Pro ships to consumers. For example, I cannot currently use Miracast to stream to the Beam Pro. I can't use Windows Wireless Display right now to share my screen to the Beam Pro. I can, however, use Chrome Remote Desktop, and I'll show you a little clip of me looking at Discord on my home computer. Shout out to the XREAL Discord community as well as the XREAL Facebook communities for all of their support, all of their questions, everything that they've asked that went into this video. In the future, both Miracast and AirPlay will be available so that you can stream from your iOS or Mac or stream from your PC or Android device directly to the Beam Pro in a similar manner that you could do with the original Beam. One feature that is missing, though, is there is no way to do a wired input into the Beam Pro. So if you wanted to use the XREAL glasses with the Nintendo Switch, for example, you'd either need to get the XREAL adapter, XREAL hub, or the original XREAL Beam. So that about does it. This has not been a comprehensive review. Again, this is a look at the current state pre-production of the Beam Pro. I've been testing it extensively for the past week or so, and I wanted to share some of my initial findings. I will have more content in the future, either in text form, in the various forums that I mentioned earlier, or in video format. So if you want to see something more with this device or have questions answered, leave a comment and I will get back to you. Thanks for watching. Get out there and enjoy some VR or AR for yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.